Saints
Yeah.
is going to be back.
Said, the word I used, we talked about this pregame, the word I used was cautiously. I'm cautiously optimistic after what we saw on Sunday night. What are you feeling right now after what we saw on Sunday night?
Going into it, I predicted Florida State to win this game just because if you look on it and you go table chart, Florida State should have won this game, and they did what they needed to do. There was 18 points left on the board per Coach Norvell earlier this morning after practice, saying that there was some mistakes that were made, and there definitely were some mistakes all around. Even he admitted to his mistake after the game of having that pitch call on the goal line to Trayshawn Ward, which would have put up Florida State another 7 points. And so, Florida State, that was a big win on the road. And, a lot of the players afterwards saying it was 50-50. It sure was. I mean, Florida State's fan base showed up all around New Orleans. And then also in that game, I mean, the LSU fans were loud, not saying that they weren't there. I mean, the LSU fans were also very loud, and so was FSU, but it created a nice environment for the players. And so, Jared Verse saying he felt comfortable being inside that stadium with the FSU and the war chant going on. This was a game where I thought Mike Norvell called a really pretty one. That, like I said earlier, he made a mistake here and there, but it goes to show now you no longer have Kenny Dillingham with you. And I thought with Norvell being solo dolo this year, you're going to see a more impressive, more explosive, more trickery under Norvell, but just because that's what he did back in Memphis. Once Kenny Dillingham came in, a little bit more conservative, in my opinion. He is now solo dolo on that offensive side of the ball, calling plays. And I mean, he was going for the dagger multiple times, and sometimes it didn't click. But when it did, it worked, and we had seen that trick play go on with Ontario Wilson all throughout fall camp, and it worked out perfectly. It was seamless almost. And so, obviously, LSU gets a PI call. But Florida State game planned this well. They did this against Duquesne. They, were managing the time, running it out, and they just took control. After that second drive, I said, yeah, Florida State's, this is their game to lose just because they were going to manage 4 quarters. And without the commercials, that game would have been over in 2 hours.
Yeah. I use the word cautiously optimistic when I talk about this game because, look, let's be honest. This was not the same LSU team that won national title in 2019. They're down a peg just like we are at this point. But that being said, Logan hit the nail on the head. It was genuinely a road game against a quality SEC opponent. That's all we hear about is SEC over the ACC, and Florida State got the win. A couple things I learned in this game. Jordan Travis is capable of winning a game with his arm. 260 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. I think the Ontario Wilson's second touchdown grab was amazing, arguably the highlight of the week as far as I'm concerned in college football. I like the way our defense played. I could argue that our defense for 3 quarters, maybe into the beginning of the 4th quarter, played better against LSU than they did against Duquesne. 4 sacks in the game. They were able to get the pressure on. Daniels, I think we all knew Daniels was going to be the starting quarterback for this game. But I'm cautiously optimistic because I think when you looked at before the season started, we talked about there were some games that were guaranteed wins. I think Duquesne was a guaranteed win. I think Louisiana was a guaranteed win. I think Boston College was probably close to a guaranteed win. You could argue Georgia Tech and maybe Syracuse. You could say that those 5 were guaranteed wins before the start of the season. There were some of the games that were toss-ups. LSU was a toss-up. Louisville was a toss-up, not because Louisville's a better team than us, but because Louisville's beat us 2 years in a row. Miami's a toss-up. So getting those toss-up wins, getting LSU, and then you got the next game against Louisville, you're starting to see that maybe people who thought Florida State wouldn't be better than a 6-6, 7-5 team, the ceiling did get raised for where Florida State could potentially be by the end of the season. So we'll talk about that. What's Florida State's ceiling later on in the show? But I think right now you have to be cautiously optimistic that things may be better than we thought they would be for the Seminoles this season.